Labor on the block set for the Columbus Park. Representatives of the OAS on Grand Bahama. And urban renewal treating the island's precious pearls.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all, I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Columbus Park will be the venue tomorrow for the Ministry of Labor's massive Labor on the Blocks initiative. Grand Bahamas unemployment is said to be around 12%, and it is hoped that tomorrow's job fair will bring some relief to the unemployment situation. Over 20 local employers are expected to participate, and officials indicate that there is a strong possibility that some job seekers might leave with a job. Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Senator the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, is in full support of Labor on the Blocks. He commends the Labor Minister and the Department of Labor for their efforts in attempting to create employment opportunities for Grand Bahamians.
We are encouraging all persons who are interested to come out this Saturday, I believe on the Columbus Park or the Susan J. Wallace Center, to hear from all of the companies that will be participating. We anticipate that I believe over 20 companies are going to be a part of it. We invite them to bring their resumes and their identification and their relevant documents and be prepared to speak to these companies. And we believe that there's going to be opportunities available for persons who come.
Minister Thompson says the government is focused on providing jobs for Bahamians. He believes the key to success is working with stakeholders within the community who can help.
It is the private sector and it is the small business community, really, that will drive the economy and will improve the economy. And we have to continue to remain focused that the government must create the right atmosphere and create the right environment. And we must push for the private sector to grow and push for the private sector to bring on more employment. So we are encouraging persons to come, but we are also encouraging those businesses to come. And we are asking those businesses also to provide as much opportunity as possible for the persons that come.
Labor on the Blocks will be held at the Susan J. Wallace Center on Columbus Park from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Interested persons should take along proper photo identification. You can register in advance at jobseekers.bahamas.gov.bs. Members of the Organization of American States to Grand Bahama on Thursday, meeting with key stakeholders in the community who are responsible for the development of small businesses. The president of the University of the Bahamas Northern Campus, principals of the Grand Bahama Port Authority, officials from the Chamber of Commerce, and coordinators of programs of the Ministry of Grand Bahama. Regional Program Coordinator in the OAS for Caribbean Small Business Centers, Renee Penko, says the Bahamas is among the countries in the region to receive support from the OAS. She says they have been working with the Bahamian government for roughly 2 years now on the SBDC model and are pleased to be in Grand Bahama now.
We met with, as Minister mentioned, quite a few stakeholders, key stakeholders that would be important in the development of the MSME sector, not only in Grand Bahama and in Freeport, but rather the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as a whole. So we're very happy to be here. We're very excited at the enthusiasm that we're seeing from the sector in the Bahamas, and we know that at the end of this phase, we will be able to say that we successfully launched this program.
OAS member Cliff Paradise represents the 1,100 U.S. small business development centers in the international network of SBCs located throughout the Americas, traveled to consult with the stakeholders about the adoption and adaptation of the OAS's SBDC model. He says meetings with the officials at the Office of the Prime Minister here in Grand Bahama were productive.
I'm confident after hearing all of the great organizations that have been very active in helping startups and established businesses grow, that the SBDC model is very aligned with the efforts of the government, very aligned with the efforts of many of the organizations. So I think for the future entrepreneur or existing business owner, I think the message for you is that this program will respond to your needs and will help you create an economic impact or result that will improve not only the lives of your family, but I think the entire community. So I think the government should be commended for its efforts and its openness and adopting this model and becoming part of an international network of small business organizations.
The Bahamas Union of Teachers is concerned about mold at the Maurice Moore Primary School. Sharp Stewart Michelle Outen says environmental health has confirmed that mold has been found at the school and several classes were relocated from the affected areas. The BUT officer says she is most concerned about health implications.
Apparently, a few teachers went to seek medical advice and attention yesterday, and I'm not sure the outcome of that. But to my knowledge, there are persons who have sought medical attention recently.
Outen says while funds have been allocated for repairs, she is not aware of a timeline as to when work will begin and says time is of the essence.
I'd like to see things happen a little faster. Okay, I would like to see, if you cannot mobilize and get the roof repaired today, tomorrow, I would like to see at least the deep cleaning take place in these affected areas to try to eliminate the existence of the mold spores. I know that's extremely difficult with the climate that we live in to keep it at bay, but I would like to see the deep cleaning begin. That would make me happier.
Now, we contacted Superintendent of Education Yvonne Ward, who says she is aware of the concerns. She confirmed that the plant facility manager was on Grand Bahama to assess the situation and has determined that the roof must be repaired. Ward says funds have been made available and work should begin during midterm break period, which is next week. Now, the chief investigating officer in the Barry and Ashina Johnson murder trial was back on stand today as cross-examination continued. But as Atalia Hall tells us, this morning's session was interrupted after one of the attorneys in the case advanced a legal argument.
Attorney Carlton Sherland, who is representing defendant Kevin Dames, told Justice Estelle Gray Evans that he will be making application to sever his client from the trial. Attorney Jeffrey Farquharson, who is representing defendant Paul Belazaire, then continued his cross-examination of Sergeant 772 Lorenzo Johnson. He asked Sergeant Johnson if he charged his client on September 19, 2015. Johnson agreed. Attorney Farquharson then asked Johnson if all of the accused men were charged around the same time. Johnson said no. Farquharson then asked Sergeant Johnson if he conducted a confrontation with Mr. Belazaire on the 28th of October 2015. Johnson said yes. Farquharson asked Johnson if Mr. Belazaire was in Freeport on the 28th of October. Johnson countered, noting that Belazaire was in prison, and he and Officer Lloyd went to New Providence and did the paperwork for all 5 men for him to conduct the confrontation. Farquharson asked Johnson why did he decide to do that. Johnson explained that Kevin Dames was not there when all of the other men were charged, so he wanted to clear up a few things. Farquharson asked Sergeant Johnson if he ever heard of the judge's rule. Johnson said yes. Farquharson asked Johnson if he knew that the judge's rule prohibits asking questions after a person has been charged. Johnson told Farquharson that is not so. At that very moment, Attorney Sherland stood up and said based on the questions counsel has put to the witness, he is requesting a legal argument in the absence of the jury. The jury was dismissed shortly before 11. Paul Belazaire, Devon Hall, and Kevin Dames are all accused of 2 counts of murder, 1 count of armed robbery, and robbing the victims of their car keys and GMC truck valued at over $8,000. Reporting for ZNS Network News, I'm Atalia Hall.
Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition continues in just a moment.